All right, so here we've got our Merito product update for UFT, or excuse me, OpenText Functional Testing. There's a rebranding. But one of the very exciting features that they've released for 26.1 is something that we asked for back in 2019. We met with the product team. We've got some significant influence with the R&D team, and they basically told us that there's no way that they could implement Python with UFT. They just said the tool doesn't support it, the framework doesn't support it, and there's no way. And we all kind of laughed and chuckled, like, okay, yeah, awesome. That sucks, but awesome. Everyone's asking for it, but okay, we understand. It looks like 6 years later, they were finally able to get this on the roadmap and actually get it implemented. We heard about this at OpenText World in 2025, so we knew that it was coming. We didn't realize it was coming this fast. So we're very excited to actually hear about this. So our blog is structured around providing the latest updates for all of the tools that we support. We don't just support OpenText. We also support Tricentis and Inflectra, Browser Stack, and TestRail, and just a number of other software development lifecycle tools. The premium versions, the ones that actually add the most value, and the ones that you would find in enterprise ecosystems. Here's our blog on the UFT update for 26.1. And we can see here that now Python is supported. There are some limitations. There's some scope that they include in what this actually means, but we're now able to record test cases and actually record them in Python. So that, as you can imagine, would expand the amount of engineers that can actually write UFT scripts. Previously supported VBScript, which has been end of life. I'm not sure if it's been pulled from the market entirely, but it's no longer supported by Microsoft. And Python's actually been around. Louis, how long has Python's been around? Since like the early 90s, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's quite mature.
Yeah, it seems to be the language of choice whenever you share with the team, Louis, the sentiment on different languages. I feel like Python's like top 3.
Yeah, it's easy to get started with, very powerful. Most of the performant models are written in C itself. It's kind of like the grandfather language. But yeah, it's also a crowd favorite for data analytics and therefore AI and machine learning. So it's got a lot of power. And then, of course, JavaScript is everywhere and powerful as well. And then, as far as testing languages go, it's quite a robust language for that too. I think it's a great one to get started with. Easy enough. You don't have to worry about compilation or any of that, and then you can do some pretty powerful things right out of the gate.
Absolutely, I agree. There's a lot of engineers that know Python too. So there's less ramp up time. One of the complaints that I've heard, people are like, they say I don't know VBScript. It's like, okay, well we can teach you how to use VBScript. And with UFT, they make the tool really easy to record objects and then make your modifications. So once you understand the syntax, I feel like most people will be able to embrace this pretty easily. So this is one that we want to look at. The other feature that I thought was cool, I've been waiting for it for a while, is UIA Pro. So this framework is essentially Microsoft's user interface for automation. So they expose automation IDs as a part of the development process. So when they build, they just expose those properties, and that gives us something to uniquely identify each of the controls on the screen. And UIA Pro, previously you would have to use the object spy, and then you'd have to find the object you want to work with and the property you want to work with. Maybe it is that UI, that automation ID, or maybe it is something like HTML ID, something that was a little bit more stable than that. But you'd have to go through and manually select those values and those properties you want to work with. And then you had to drag and drop that object into your script or your repository in order to work with it. So what I'm hoping full support means, it says fully supported, I hope that means that you can record with UIA. And if you can, then I'm going to be very excited. I'm already excited about the Python update, but I would be equally excited about UIA. Pro. We also had some data table improvements. Look at that. So the data table now supports some special characters. I can't tell you how many times we've got a support ticket that was opened up where someone had an issue with the data table and it just turned out to be an asterisk. Like, hey, all you got to do is change this, and then ticket closed. That's actually a good time to bring up our platinum support. Merito signature support has the ability to access our engineers and get them to help you solve some of your problems. So first line of support, tier 1, you don't have to worry about your working with your vendor to ask you a bunch of questions that you've already provided them in the past. Our signature support program will get you access to experts and get your problems and tickets resolved much faster. All right, what else did we have? We had some CI/CD updates, just making our pipelines work a little better. And then, yeah, I think those are the two that I really wanted to see. Those Python and then UIA. We won't show on this unboxing. We won't show the functional testing with Jenkins or any of the risk-based strategies. We are reading this from our blog, so our blog has the latest updates for all the tools that we support. And then we also include some tidbits on how this applies to enterprises. If you want to subscribe to our newsletter, please fill out the subscribe at the very bottom, and that'll get you the latest and greatest on all of the tools that were released for that month. We'll put that in our newsletter, as well as 1 or 2 different blogs for just the latest and greatest happenings around Merito. We also have some frequently asked questions that we include here. We get a lot of people that reach out to us and field a lot of questions. We try to aggregate those into one place. All right, so we'll include the link to this specific blog in the comments below whenever we post this video. All right, should we do it? Should we go in? I'm excited, guys. All right, so I have installed one of the dependencies for installing UFT 26.1 with Python is just making sure that we've got the 32-bit version of Python. And so Python -- version, excuse me. There we go. So I've got version 3.14.0. If you need that installer, that specific installer, email us and we'll send you a link. Also, if you need the installer for 26.1 UFT, sometimes it's a little hard to navigate the software download center in what used to be Micro Focus and now OpenText, and they're still trying to merge the 2 platforms. So if you need the installer, let us know. We're happy to send that to you as well.
Just in case anyone's curious, it looks like you're on Windows 10 Pro.
I believe this is Windows 10 Pro. This is a very old machine. There it is. Okay, at the very bottom. Windows 10 Pro, yep.
Okay.
All right. All right, so I'm told, I haven't actually done this yet. I'm told all I have to do is click on new test, and in here, yep, there it is. For the language, I can choose between VBScript and Python. So I'm just gonna, I don't think business process testing or business process flows are supported yet. So I think it's just GUI, and we'll click on create. We'll see what happens. All right. I'm going to click on record. You guys want to use the advantage shopping? We'll use Chrome. Yeah, I think that sounds good. All right. We are recording, so just click on that. You can see that it is incrementing. I clicked on speakers and it went up 1. Scroll down a little bit, click on this. Running a little slow on this machine. I'll click add to cart and then I'll just click on home. Nothing fancy. Just see what we have here. All right. So this looks like regular UFT. It's got the object repository. It's got the object model. And so now we would want to add some logic. Do notice here that we have the parentheses after the click. I wonder if that's specific to Python. So anyway, well, let's first play the spec, just to see what happens. I expect it to error out with some timing issues. We always have sync issues, which is why this website's so great to test on. Of course, watch me say that, and it's not going to air out on any sync issues. Wait for it to add to cart. All right, so I'm going to check my report real quick by clicking the little report button, and 7 steps passed and 1 warning. So it did actually go through, and looks like it clicked the save to cart button and thinks that it passed. So that's a good sign. Close some of these tabs here. All right, well, let's see what Python looks like. So I'm going to pretend that I don't know Python here. No, I don't know Python. Don't have to pretend. Thank you. I was waiting for someone to catch that. We have some in UFT. One of the great features is the step generator. And I know how this works with VBScript. I don't know how it works with Python. So we're going to click on step generator and see what we have here. So basically, it's going to pull in all of our test objects. We're going to work with advantage shopping, and let's just add an exist. So we're going to see if this exists, and then we're going to turn this into an if statement. So here, this looks a little different than how it looked in regular VBScript, guys. So it gives us a variable, and then it'll return true or false if that exists. And then Louis, what's the is it print var? If I want to print
you
that,
want to wrap that into parentheses.
All right. And I read in the notes that you can't do debugging or there's something weird with debugging. Actually, on my other screen here, I've got the beta scope. So this is a beta release right now. Unsupported features are keyword view, active screen, recovery scenarios, business process testing, and robotic process automation. And then they said some interactive input methods. The following Python methods which read values from standard input are not supported. So input, system.read, .readline, .readlines, and .input. I'm not sure exactly what all that means. We'll have to play around with this a little bit to figure that out. In theory, I'm going to play this, and it hopefully stops at line 8. And right now, I'm just having fun. It's fun to see a different language in the IDE. All right, so it looks like it broke on that line. And of course, let's see here. I'll make this a little bigger, but I don't have a whole lot of RAM allocated to this machine. All right, so local variables. All right, so here's our print. So that output is true. So that's cool. All right, that's pretty cool. Louis, what are some other things that we might be able to do with Python? I mean, I know it's such a broad question.
Yeah, it's a very, very broad question. But as mentioned earlier, I'd like to see what libraries are supported. So I've barely scratched the surface. But imagine creating a function library. With Python, that's extremely powerful. You have access to the OS module for operating system operations. I've imported the UUID module for unique variable generation. So data driving test cases is something that I can think would be awesome. Keep in mind function libraries, right? So I assume now that we're supported for Python, we could make some really robust function libraries if you are a talented Python developer, and then make those available to the rest of your team by simply calling inline statements. Another thing, I'm very excited to see how this works. UFT has long had support. If you go back and look in YouTube for Git integration with UFT, you'll probably find one of our old BNB videos, and that's got a lot of great traction over the years. But storing these into a Git repository and then allowing code linters to help with code style, making sure that it's secure, maybe running linting against your actual test cases themselves in CI/CD pipelines. So I think the power of Python with Git integration and the ability to create external functions with libraries that already exist that help you do a lot of powerful things. I'm really excited to see how far we can push this.
For some of the automation engineers that have grown up on UFT, where UFT makes it so easy, where you don't have to have that development background, can you explain what linting gives you as a developer and storing your code in repos?
Yeah, well, linting is just kind of, as Dryer would collect the lint. I mean, going through and making sure just styles and standards are set right. Like not one person is using camel case, all capital variables, and somebody's using lowercase. So just making sure that there's consistency of the style of the code, but also, it can be used for security on the fly. If you have code open in IDE, why wait until you check that code in and try to merge it with the larger application code to catch that there's errors with it? So just the ability to quickly see things, and then Git repositories, source code version control, often integrated with CI/CD pipelines. That gets you extreme control over the version history and the ability to go back and even roll back if you need to, right? So, one quick use case would be if maybe your product has an on-premise version and a SaaS version, and there's feature flags and things that are going there. Maybe you would have a code branch for on-prem and then one for SaaS. Oftentimes it's based off of environment as well, right? Like staging, QA. The branching and merging strategies really depends on how the developer set up. But the power that it gets you is extreme control over version history and the ability to kind of inspect and make sure that things are up to the standards that you've set for your team before combining them into the larger code base.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good explanation. Thank you. I want to point this out. There's no longer using the apostrophes to comment out code. We got the hashtags, the £, depending on how old you are.
So why don't you just try something here?
Hold on. Before that,
Yep.
I have line number 3 to import requests. I'm going to play this, and I hope it does not error out.
Have you done pip install requests?
I did pip install requests, yes.
Okay.
Let's see.
So for those that are not sure what the import statement does, that's how you import external packages from Python. You can go to PyPy, which is the package repository. We actually have a Python repository called Qtbot for automating some test migration activities, but that's a completely different topic. But so with pip, which is the global package installer, you can install these very powerful packages. One very popular one is Pandas for data operations. And it looks like you can import external libraries, which makes this feature extremely powerful. Not only can you use the built-in system libraries like I was tinkering on over here, import operating system and walk the tree, maybe searching for a PDF file that you want to do something with, or generate a unique identifier that you want to use when you're uploading a record and log that into your test log so you can go back and actually look at the data generated by the test. There's just endless number of possibilities.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this a step further here. Let's see what this does.
You could just have AI generate you some slop code and toss it in there and see what happens.
Yeah. All right, so does that look right? Response equals response.get. So we're gonna get the Google page, and then we'll print from there, right? So you said, and then let's see what the status is. So the reason why I'm so excited about this, if this works, this is so much faster than waiting for the UI to render. If we just make a request and then we look at the payload that's returned, that allows us to do automated testing a lot better and a lot faster.
Not even absolutely, not having to scrape the DOM, but there's just like endless possibilities there's a bunch of packages that you could import that would allow you to query Oracle or SQL Server, Postgres databases, and you could data drive test cases and then read and write back to the DB your test data. Getting on the fly HTTP requests. I mean, UFT does, or OpenText Functional Testing does have API testing built in, but maybe you just want some lightweight functions to fetch some data really quick or do a quick scraping of the DOM, and that gives you extreme flexibility. I mean, you have VBScript, you can make API requests. But it's nowhere nearly as elegant and easy to maintain as it is with Python and these highly powerful libraries.
We had a couple of customers that we did that for. We absolutely need UFT to do this, and we were able to successfully implement that. We also have the API version of UFT, field service test, that they integrated into QTP and made it the product Unified Functional Testing, which is now functional testing. The API testing aspect of the tool works really well, but being able to do that in a GUI test and have an action that you can make reusable and get that single point of maintenance, it's just super powerful, or could be super powerful if this works. So this is going to actually, I was going to go to Google, but let's just go to merito.com, get another hit for our website. Avinash, that'll make you happy, right? And then we're going to look at the status code. Hopefully it returns 200. We're going to we're going to print the headers that are returned, and then also print the body, and then just print the entire response text. So we're parsing out the response we get. In theory, if this works, here I go. I'm going to press run. 3, 2, 1. Oh, of course. Okay, now I got to push the real run button. 3, 2, 1, run. Of course, I have some syntax errors there on line 5. It might not like that. Probably should have looked at that. All right, Louis, what did I do wrong with my code?
I didn't see what there. You put a timeout in there. I don't think you need a timeout. You can just do a get.
I think you're missing a double quote maybe at the end of timeout somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah,
I do have.
looks like.
Yeah, you're
You
right.
open one, where does it close?
All right, when I save, okay, so I can still have on line 8 now. I've got an error, same issue.
Oh, yeah, I don't think you need the timeout. You can just toss the URL in there.
So Louis, for those of you that are watching, Louis manages our infrastructure and our website. And so if we have a 10-second timeout, it might error out. You thinking it should be 20?
Nice.
Let's remove it. All right. Save, and I still have invalid syntax on line 10. This error pane is actually quite helpful. So there was missing close paren, save again.
So obviously, being that this is a beta release and stuff, code linting, like we were talking about earlier, I kind of might even toss VS Code in the mix and say, I want to use VS Code with Copilot, and I will just open up this .py file directly and code develop. You could use Codex or Copilot and say, make me a request function that hits this URL, and it should know how to do it. So I'm interested to really kind of push the boundaries of that, especially with like function libraries. I probably would not even use the IDE here and instead use VS Code or PyCharm or something along with an AI agent to help build out the function library. And then,
so you would make calls to that function library outside of UFT. So UFT is your interface for designing, and then you've got your framework that exists separately.
Like my actual coding framework, it's a more familiar environment. You can obviously do it all in UFT, but it's probably not going to be as good at linting and calling out Python specific style errors or whatever. So just something out there. I'm actually taking the function library over here and just trying to write def to get a function. It's auto correcting to default, which is not what I want. So anyways,
we also have UFT developer, or functional testing for developers, I think is what the new product is called. I think that also supports Python. So might be able to do something with that. From a licensing perspective, that is actually a little cheaper than the full functional testing product. So if people are interested in that, definitely some options to maybe do it a little cheaper if that's how they want to run their QA org. Definitely something we can help there. Okay, I'm going to push the run button. 3, 2, 1.
So one thing to be aware of with Python is that it's highly dependent on indentation, right? Either double spaces or tab characters. So that kind of ties into what I was saying. Is the UFT IDE or the area where you type up your scripts going to be really strict about letting you know exactly where you have an indentation error and stuff? Probably not as much. Definitely not as much as VS Code or PyCharm that's designed for that. So that's kind of the point I was trying to make, is maybe if I was developing a function library, I would open it up in an IDE outside of here. It could still be obviously used for the tests and whatnot, but I don't see anything wrong with what you got right there. And I did get that to work.
Yeah. When I was when I typed that line 5 and I basically, oh no, do that. When I went to line 5, when I hit enter, because I had some syntax errors, it actually put me like right down here, right by the equal sign. So the indentation was off a little bit. What I want to do here is, these aren't actually reporting. They're not being written to the report. So this is a really good opportunity to use a McDone statement. And that's reporter dot report event McDone. And then we're going to say, comma, Python step, comma, and then I'm going to do print. I think that's the syntax. You guys agree? Again, mixing Python with
Yeah, I don't know if you need that print. The reporter, I was tinkering with that earlier. Forgot how to use that old guy.
so this, oh, I think I might have to, will it know? Because body's not a variable, right? Oh, no, hold on. I needed to go response text. So that's actually not going to return. All right, so you don't think I need print? You think I just need status? Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And then do I need the parentheses? That is.
I forget. I'd have to Google it.
What's the concatenation for Python? Is it a plus or is it an ampersand?
You could use a plus or just comma delimited. Or you could do an F string wrapped in curly braces. But I don't know. Wait, let's just see what happens. Plus should work. But if you're concatenating a integer and a string, that wouldn't, you'd want to separate them with commas. But UFT might also think that you're trying to add an extra argument to that call. So it might be a good thing for a function library to create a easy to format logging framework.
You have a rogue parenthesis, line 6.
Thank you. I call that paired programming. I need 3 pairs. All right, so it doesn't like this reporter event McDone. The step, it doesn't like that on line 6.
Yeah, I was having troubles with the report event earlier as well. Maybe the syntax has changed with Python, but
All right, so let's use IntelliSense. Report event.
yeah, one thing you might also show the viewers is the handy dandy F1 key. If you click into report event, how it takes you directly there in the docs.
I'm on a Mac, so my F1 There we go. Function F1 for you Mac users going through an RDP session. Making life complicated. Andrew's smiling. All right. Report event method. Here we go. Reporter.report event status, which event status would be the McDone. And then the step name, which we had just in double quotes, Python step, and then details. Yeah. I think it looked good. On is an event status of 2. I think that looked okay. Let me just type out one that we know would work typically. All right, so that's line 6. But we have an error. We still have a error on line 6. Interesting.
Yeah, that's where I'm having some issues too. That's just a standard event report syntax.
Let me check the out of scope guide to see if it's not supported yet. I mean, it went through. Maybe it erred. Oh.
I was having trouble getting even just a simple static string to print to make it pass. So I don't know. I think there's some limitations. Can give you something.
You can try the AI answer if you want for Python.
Okay.
Get rid of your parentheses in line 7. Yeah, get rid of those and the other ones. So it's saying reporter.report event open parentheses. Oh no, I don't think that's gonna work.
Oh no, there you go. No, it IntelliSense popped open.
There we go. Okay, interesting. And then close at the end, and that might work. You do want comma, yeah, comma separated, yeah. You just need a parenthesis at the end.
Yeah, sorry, my keyboard's here now. All right, so if I save this, Andrew,
there we go.
The smarter Carpenter.
Google AI worked for once. It's a miracle. That's the least reliable AI of them all.
Comment that one out, and then let's get this one here. See if we were fighting with 12 earlier. So it looks like 12 with the parenthesis. We'll see what that comes back with, and then all right, no more errors. Let's see what this does. All right, so this would be wild if this actually works. Custom step. Let's see. I'm going to just make this bigger. Custom Python step. Here we go. Status 200. So it went out and got the status, but it didn't report the other step. So I must have done. It doesn't like the parentheses. Yeah, but it returned that status 200. So that's we all know 200 is good. So line number 9 passed, but these guys here did not. So
we also sent the response status go. You're trying to get the headers and other things, yeah.
Just seeing if we could parse out the response, but we know that'll work there. And if I go like this and I say body plus response text, I feel like that would work.
Yeah, so far in my tinkering with it, it seems very powerful, and there's a lot that you can do. There's some little annoyances with IntelliSense. I don't think it's fully there with Python syntax, right? So to my point earlier, I might work with VS Code for the lightweight Python file editing, and then obviously UFT for object collection, building out object repositories, and that sort of thing. So I have to figure out what my ideal workflow would be. I do have it printing the body, X text, so that should work. But maybe that concatenation, maybe it would prefer an F string or something. If you just remove body and do response text, it should work fine.
Didn't like line 12, the response header. So maybe headers isn't in the.
Yeah, that's another point, right? If you are in VS Code or PyCharm and you're dealing with a response object, it's going to give you all of the available methods like UFT would. But here you're just going to have to remember it.
So let me comment out headers because I actually don't care about that. But response text, is that what you're thinking is valid?
Yeah, that's valid. And normally you can get a response.json if it's successful. If it's non 200 return code, error code, then your text is usually some kind of error message. So printing the text is always just a safe way to see it. I got another little function I can ping you that, just to show an example.
Oh, got another one. Look at that.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Looks like they changed the reporter.report event since last time I used it. If you go back to it, you can do you can see if this works. This is from AI. On like maybe line 7, try that one. At the end of your parentheses, so is passed, you can do a comma before the inside the parentheses, sorry, comma, and then you can do status, it's camel case, status dot passed. And I'm assuming that will add passed in your step. I think we're missing that earlier. So I haven't seen that before in UFT.
Oh, interesting.
There's status.pass, status.fail, status.done, status.warning.
Is that what we're expecting? Like, I expect this to fail, so then pass it or something?
Yeah, I think it just updates how the report reads. So we got in one of those steps, we just got a generic 200. So I think if you add status.pass, UFT will maybe show both, I'm assuming. Kind of confused on that one, but haven't seen that before.
Yeah, let's play around with that. There's one other feature I want to look at. So this is actually pretty cool. There's I'll just see if this works here for this one. Status not passed. See what it does. It didn't air out. The other thing I want to look at is UIA Pro. And I want to launch UFT and then record something and see if it works or not. Nope. Status not defined.
Interesting. Okay.
We'll have to play around with that one a little more.
Could have been a hallucination. AI generated code, you never know.
All right, so I just closed UFT. We'll be launching it here again. Thought I closed UFT. All right, so to enable UIA Pro, we've got all of our add-ins. These are installed. If you don't see UIA Pro, it just means that your UFT installation does not have that add-in installed. Very easy to reinstall that. So UIA Pro is enabled. Click a new test. We will do, let's stick with Python. That's fine.
I mean, is there any reason to go back at this point with VBScript being sunsetted?
Right. All right. So stick with all of our recording. All right. So now I got to figure out how to drop into into the mode. So previously we would be able to select what our mode is. And when I say mode, if you've got UIA or UIA Pro, or if you have like a different low-level recording, you'd be able to drop down into a different recording mode. And it looks like I don't see any of those available for UIA Pro. So I'm curious if I did something wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click in here and see. Yeah, it looks like it's pulling in the web. It might see that we're using Chrome and then automatically default to the web add-in. All right, so let me relaunch. Let me just remove web entirely. Try to force it a little bit. Okay, so now we've got UFT is launched. We're going to go into a new test case. And I'm going to click record. Windows app, we're going to record specifically on Chrome. So we're not telling UFT to look for a web browser. We're saying record on any browser that you see. And I'll just go to the Merito website. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything, guys. That's interesting. So it might be, here's the drop down. Okay, so they don't have support for recording with UIA Pro. It's pretty obvious. So here with UIA Pro, you can see on our own website that it shows all of the different objects that we have, and then quite a long tree actually for our own website. Our website's pretty complex though, very robust. Okay, well, that answers my question. I'm less excited about this feature. Fortunately, wish I was. We'll have to talk to product and see what we can do to actually enable recording for the UIA add-in itself, because we think that'll be pretty useful. Especially just being able, like you can see, like look at all these different keys that we have available. These are one of the things that make automation brittle is not being able to find a unique key, like unique property. And so a lot of times it's the HTML ID that we key on, or other unique properties. But here in this case, it might just be the name that we key on. So, all right. Anything else you guys want to take a look at?
I'm excited to dive into function libraries, but for unboxing, I think this is good. I think maybe we'll have a follow-up after we've put it through the ringer and be able to call out some of the pros and cons and things that we figured out how to do. So, just all in all, looks pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if anyone has any questions or any ideas how you might be able to use this within your organization, happy to hear about those. Drop those in the comments below, and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Avinash, do you have any questions from your end? I know you've got you're starting to get more automation experience and background of how these tools help enterprise customers. Do you have any questions for the four of us on like how this actually applies to the Merito customer base?
Yes, in terms of probably the performance and the end use case for the customer, what kind of change, what kind of delta can we expect?
You're talking about like from the customer, like what's the value from getting, like if they spend a bunch of money on getting upgraded to version 26.1, that would be really, I hate to answer in this way, but it depends. It depends what version they're on today. If they're upgrading from the last version, which I think was 25.2, I'd have to look at the deltas. But if they're upgrading from version 12.5, there's been significant enhancements since then. But this update is different than all of the other updates because we introduce one of the most common languages that developers use to code many different things. And a lot of the data analysts, people that are working with infrastructure, almost everyone in the dev world knows Python. And so now UFT supports them, right? It makes their job a little easier. So the value is tremendous. Just having the ability to use Python is huge.
Real world example, Avinash, might be, if a customer wants UFT with VBScript, they need to hire a VBScript specific developer because they might not have one. And then at that point, they're like, why don't we just use Tosca or any other automation tool? But if they already have developers that know Python, they can have those developers also work on automation.
Absolutely.
Right. That makes it, that makes it so much clearer. Thank you so much. I think, again, thanks for the awesome demo. Maybe one more question from that would probably be on the minds of our viewers would be, where does Merito come in the picture here? What do we do different? And how can we help make that transition easier for them, for the customers already using UFT?
Louis, you want to take that one?
How do we come into the picture here? Well, I mean, we have known this tool since it was QTP, since it was wrapped with SAP's Tau. So we have a very long and storied history with this and other enterprise testing tools. Not only just testing tools, but overall software development framework. So I think the short answer is we can help you get the most value out of your investment in these tools by implementing them in the right way, by helping you leverage strategies, by ensuring your team is up to date on the latest and greatest of features and functionalities and use cases. I think we help unlock the value of your investments by providing you with that full basket of knowledge and wealth and help.
Yeah, it's a great answer. And especially with these incremental updates, as you have been using the tool, whether you've been using it for a very long time or you just got started, with this latest update, we can come in and help you with understanding what that update does for your organization, put a roadmap together. A plan is always good to have. And with that roadmap, we can come in and help augment your staff as needed. Could be a little bit, could be a lot, whatever you guys need. We can help make these tools successful in your org.
Right. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Well, let's wrap up there. This is a nice unboxing. So thanks for joining, guys. For everyone else, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.